Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, helping you prepare for Thanksgiving with fresh produce, quality meats, and all the ingredients for your favorite holiday dishes. Learn more at Safeway.com or in the Safeway app.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Sometimes it takes cooler weather, like today's, to prompt people to get their fall vaccines. Early data shows this could be a busy flu season. Colorado's dashboard shows an uptick in cases just before Thanksgiving, and fewer people have been vaccinated this fall compared to last year. I'm Bazi Kanani. Coming up, a war of words between President Trump and Colorado Congressman Jason Crow over this message.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
Then, the search for rare earth elements in Colorado.
It's kind of like mowing the lawn. He's got a grid of lines he's following.
Plus, don't lose hope because of the dry November.
We can still see an awesome ski season.
And we remember a local music legend and civil rights activist who died this week. It's Friday, November 21st. Here's the news in Colorado today. Colorado Congressman Jason Crow is defending himself and a handful of other Democrats in Congress after President Trump accused them of being traitors. Trump said they should be tried and jailed for seditious acts, and he reposted an online comment that said they should be hanged. This was in response to a video featuring Crow and 5 other Congress members who are all veterans or former intelligence officials. Crow is a former Army Ranger. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
And intelligence community professionals
against American citizens.
In the video, they remind service members of their oath to protect and defend the Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
That last line is what really has raised Trump's hackles, the idea that these members of Congress would encourage a refusal of orders. CPR's reporter in Washington, Caitlin Kim, spoke to Crow late yesterday about why he felt compelled to post the video in the first place.
This president continues to put our service members in very difficult, untenable situations, and he has threatened to put them in even worse situations, like going to war on the city of Chicago is what he's threatened, like threatening to shoot peaceful protesters in Lafayette Square in the past, and do innumerable things that would be a violation of U.S. law. So what we want to do is start a conversation about what people's oaths and their commitment to the rule of law requires.
The video did not mention specific instances where the Democrats thought Trump had issued illegal orders, but Crow tells us the threats to protesters are top of mind. Several of Trump's orders are being challenged in court, so it's not yet been determined if they're legal. We asked Crow if he's worried about the potential consequences of the president's response.
Listen, I've gone to war 3 times for this country. I've taken many oaths to the Constitution, both in uniform and as a member of Congress. I am committed entirely to the nation that I love. And I will do anything and everything to fulfill my oath to this country, and nobody's ever going to make me afraid to fulfill that oath.
But Republican members of Congress pushed back. Jeff Crank from Colorado Springs called Crow's video reckless. Could Colorado help supply the U.S. with critical minerals and rare earth elements? There is an effort to find out because the federal government wants to source more of them at home. They say that's crucial for our economy and security because these minerals and elements are now part of our everyday lives, and most of them come from overseas. KRCC's Shauna Lewis has been reporting on the search for these materials in Colorado. Shauna, where is this happening?
It's happening in several parts of southern Colorado, including around the Wet Mountains west of Pueblo and some of the areas nearby there. And it's all part of a U.S. Geological Survey project. They're running this, they're contracting with the helicopter, and this is all to map the planet's surface, including what's underground. The helicopter has instruments that measure things like the Earth's magnetic fields and radioactivity levels. Here's USGS geophysicist Tien Grau.
Those properties tell us something about the rock types that are down there.
So they get an understanding of the rock layers, and then?
Then scientists can use that data to recognize areas that might have potential for deposits of different minerals and elements. Geophysicist Jennifer Hare explains the helicopter's flight path.
We have laid out a grid of lines for him, so it's kind of like mowing the lawn.
So the helicopter is crisscrossing at a fairly low altitude. They're able to pick up higher resolution data than what they've had in the past. So that's why this new data is so useful. The data and the new maps are all public, and they're really of interest to industries and academics.
Shauna, we have known about the importance of these minerals and elements for many years. Why is this work considered more urgent now?
A lot of this has to do with geopolitics. Some of these minerals and rare earth elements are integral to producing cell phones, military weaponry like missiles. China controls much of the market for many of these materials.
China is the dominant player in the rare earth market, and they have shown through export controls that they are willing to manipulate that market to control the availability of those materials.
That's Jamie Jones, who sets the strategy for this Earth MRI project at USGS. So Congress has allocated hundreds of millions of dollars to find new sources. That could mean new mines, but there's also a focus on mine waste, the stuff left over from other mining projects.
Speaking of stuff left over, we also know that mining can harm the environment and landscapes. Is there a concern about the impact if mining increases in Colorado for critical minerals?
Yes, there is a concern. Aaron Mintz with the national environmental group Earthworks told me he thinks the rush to find rare earth elements and critical minerals is unjustified. He also worries about the very short periods of time being given to allow public comment before approving mining projects, like a recent one in Utah where the public just had a couple of weeks before a uranium mine was approved.
What we need is an update to our mining statute, which is from 1872 and is deeply unfair to communities directly impacted by mines, particularly indigenous communities. It's very difficult to stop a mine. The government can rarely say no to a mine.
For now, the mapping work continues. The hunt for critical minerals and rare earth elements is on. Shauna, any word yet on whether they found anything here in Colorado?
Well, it is too soon to say, but remember there has been plenty of mining in Colorado since the 1800s, and USGS has mapped much of the state's mineral-rich areas many, many times before. The current data won't be released for quite a while because it takes so long to process it. Once it's released, it'll be used by industry to determine if it makes economic sense to pursue new mining development or reclaiming materials from waste at former mine sites.
KRCC reporter Shauna Lewis. Thanks, Shauna.
You're welcome.
If you're seeing some precipitation outside today, Denver 7's chief meteorologist Lisa Hidalgo says we can be grateful even if it's not as snowy as you'd like.
We have this, which is a closed-off low, which is basically its own little system rolling in from the west, which can bring a lot of moisture, but the problem is we don't have the cold air impacting it. At this point, I kind of don't care how it's coming down. I just want some rain or snow across the state to bring those drought numbers down.
You've probably noticed that this November is warmer and drier than usual.
I'd say we're going to at least be on the top 10 list when it comes to one of the warmest Novembers ever on record.
Hidalgo says the southwestern corner of the state is actually seeing decent snow, but statewide, it's a different story.
Down and through the Dolores, San Miguel River Basin there at about 50% of average when it comes to statewide snowpack. But when you look at the statewide number, we're down to about 32% of normal right now. It's been a very slow start to the season.
That means ski season is also off to a slow start.
I think this is going to be one of the driest, slowest starts to the ski season since the 2016-2017 year.
Take Powderhorn ski area in western Colorado. They were supposed to open today, but they're pushing it back because of the relatively warm weather. But that doesn't mean there won't be good snow at all, like what played out later in 2016-2017.
Keep in mind, that year, we had some crazy late season snow, so our numbers actually really came up above normal that year. So a lot can change. We can still see an awesome ski season. I'd say we're finally starting to see a shift in the pattern where we're going to get more snow in the mountains.
And as for what you can expect on Thanksgiving,
so next week, so far, it looks like we are tracking another system Wednesday into Thursday, and that would bring with it a better chance for some mountain snow. And we're going to see chances off and on over the next 5 to 7 days in the mountains. So crossing our fingers that things are changing.
A titan of Denver music died this week. Pernell Steen was 84 and had continued to play regular Friday brunch sets at the Dazzle Denver Jazz Club with his band, the 5 Points Ambassadors. Steen picked up the piano at a young age. He told KGNU his mother caught him tapping out melodies on a toy piano, so she sent him to the organist at the Zion Baptist Church. That's a historic black church in Denver, where his family was part of the congregation. Steen was just a few years old.
And I can remember my first music lesson. There was this old Victorian stool, and they put some books, probably telephone directories, on it, and lifted me up on the stool. And Mrs. Catherine Coran, who was such a sweetheart and a great, dedicated teacher. She was beyond a music teacher, and she gently took my right thumb and placed it on middle C, and she said, "Pernell, that's your best friend on the piano."
He fell in love with music, particularly classical music, composers like Bach and Mozart. He told the interviewer it felt like, quote, divine providence. Steen was also inspired by his cousin, the late Charlie Burrell, who was himself a force in Denver's music community. When Steen was 8, he witnessed his cousin desegregate the Denver Symphony. It was the late 1940s. Here's Steen reflecting on that in an interview with NBC News.
The deal was sealed when Charles came. I knew that I wanted a career path in music.
Steen attended Denver's East High School and CU Boulder. In college, he was told he couldn't play classical music as a black man, and that spurred him to get more involved in civil rights activism. He became a youth leader with groups like the NAACP. He took part in nonviolent protest in Denver and took his advocacy to the nation's capital, attending the famed March on Washington. This is more from his NBC interview, part of a project called Voices of the Civil Rights Movement.
With every fiber in my body, I will continue to do what I can, even as I slow down and grow older, to make sure that freedom for all people is a reality in the United States.
Several years ago, Steen told my colleagues at Denverite that he'd like to see more landmarks to black musicians in Denver. He wanted to see those artists and the vibrant jazz and music history of Denver and its 5 Points neighborhood get their due.
I wrestled with God wanting to know why I was put on this earth and what my mission on this earth is. And somebody finally said, it's your gift of music. The beauty of music and how it breaks down barriers, cultural. I've been in places where I couldn't speak the language, but whereby the music brought everybody together as kindred spirits. And, you know, when I leave this earth, I just want to
have somebody put on my headstone, he was a man who loved music and who loved people.
Reporting for today's show also came from CPR's Ryan Warner and Rachel Estabrook. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you Monday. I'm Bazi Kanani. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway, where you can get a free honeysuckle white turkey when you spend $100 or more in a single transaction through November 27th. Clip the offer in the Safeway app and make your holiday feast delicious.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.